Neighbours. Everybody needs good neighbours, and with a little understanding, you can find the perfect blend. I just came up with that. And Neighbourhood Watch Victoria just came up with this.
Forgotten something? Keys, please. When would-be thieves find enough doors locked, they get the message loud and clear. When we all lock up, there's safety in Neighbours.
It's not a great idea to remind Melbourne how it feels to be locked down. This isn't Neighbourhood Watch, it's watch out for your neighbours. Cam, why?
Yeah, I know. I have no idea, because this ad makes me want to move out of that neighbourhood, not actually kind of keep my eye out for my neighbours. So it's a really odd choice, because really, Neighbourhood Watch is trying to sell community spirit, and this ad is devoid of any kind of sense of community. I think, yeah, even in the setting, it's giving Twilight Zone rather than kind of neighbourhood. So I find the entire ad like strange and therefore difficult to understand the ask. I think the idea that it's sort of, you know, set in this really ominous night setting, she doesn't have her hands available, it feels really vulnerable. So you're waiting for something really awful to happen that maybe then the community can come to the rescue, but instead there's this weird bait and switch and this sort of otherworldly voice comes out and it's just like, lock up, and she's left to sort of like fend for herself. So for me, I think it misses the mark completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a sign of the times when you have the Neighbourhood Watch ad without any neighbours in it. And I think it's an indication that 40 years ago when it existed because people were looking out for each other. And, you know, they're kind of... I had one in my door in Canada when I was a kid, and they're all around the world. And now people are not looking out for each other. They're looking at Netflix. Yeah. The brand asset they had was this sort of social contract of community safety. That's gone now. And so this ad for me, I know why they're doing it, because they have rising crime in Victoria, specifically car theft. And so I think they see the opportunity, but I don't see how the brand lives into that. I don't see how they've done that.
Well, they must have felt just pressure to do something. I mean, you know, I'm sure you're aware of this, Will, but the statistics actually show, like, the city has got a serious crime issue. And so there just would have been so much pressure on Neighbourhood Watch. Come on, you've got to do something, because, you know, neighbours, they are, in fact, you know, getting their own security guards in an effort to try and ensure that their cars aren't stolen. It's a very serious issue. And so I'm really, on the one hand, it's like good on Neighbourhood Watch because they're trying to be helpful, and yet it's not the right piece of advertising. It's entirely the wrong piece of advertising. All it does is, in fact, highlight just how frightening it is for so many people right now.
I think it totally falls flat. Like, to your point, the problem is pretty huge, but the ask they're asking of people is so small, it's so pedestrian, and they don't give you enough motivation or jeopardy to actually think about it. You know, locking up, most people would do that. If you haven't, you've probably just forgotten. This ad isn't memorable enough to remind you in that moment that you need to lock up. Often for behaviour change ads, you need to give people pretty good motivation, like a really high crime rate, like the consequences of if you don't. This doesn't give you that, and so it's just totally wallpaper.
Yeah, it's also tone. They got the tone wrong. So when you're making an ad and people are sitting around and you're talking about how this execution is going to play out, you often talk about tone. How do you want people to feel? And there's a strategy in tone. And in this case, it feels like their strategy was, don't be frightening, be funny. But it ended up being neither of those. It's not funny and it's not frightening. So
I think it is frightening. I'm like, what happened to all the neighbours?
I agree. It feels really dystopian, like the buzzing Neighbourhood Watch. It feels like Neighbourhood Watch is kind of dead and you better lock your doors because you don't have any neighbours.
Well, you know, there is one person that loves being in ads who should be part of the Neighbourhood Watch. Please thank our panel, Russel, Kame, Jessica and Todd. Stay safe out there, and if something goes wrong, don't worry. We know a team that will be watching.
Protect your neighbourhood with The dirty old Secret Service. When there's nothing to watch on the ABC, they'll be watching you. Because they have nothing better to do. This one fought in the war, but he won't say on which side. She's been stuck in this bush for 3 days. Their grandchildren don't call, but destiny does. Neighbourhood Watch. Your ass is grass.